Here's a quick look at my fully colored class project. The illustration was inspired by the Steven Universe and BoJack Horseman references we looked at in the Style and Character chapter of this class. Before we get into color specifically, we need to sketch and ink a design that's going to challenge us to utilize the color theory in professional practice that I talked about in the earlier parts of this course. The theme of my class project is Elemental Guardian. So you'll be drawing, inking, and coloring a humanoid character whose personality and style is emphasized by natural elements. First off, we need some reference images to inspire our character design. To connect my project to the quote that inspired this whole class to begin with, I'm suggesting we all reference work by Georgia O'Keeffe. Why O'Keeffe? Well, for one, she's an artist with an extensive body of work that's well documented, so you have a lot to choose from. And the other reason is her work covers a really broad range of natural color, forms, and emotional energy. Odds are you're going to find something that inspires you. I think she's a perfect fit for the class and the topics that I address in it. But if you have a favorite artist that works with nature and color in similar ways, by all means, use them as your reference. In fact, bonus points if you use an awesome artist that I've never heard of before. After browsing O'Keeffe's work on Pinterest for a while, I settled on this painting called Blue Flower. I like the shapes, the forms, and the balance of light and dark in this image. It's got a vibrancy, but it's also got a darkness at its center, literally. I really want to make this class project accessible to all levels of drawing abilities. So before I share my process of sketching that final character design, let me review some guidelines that will help even a beginner artist create something cool. First rule of the class project is to keep the proportions human. Start with a circle for the head, then add a rectangle for the torso that's roughly the same height as the head, but slightly wider. Now add a rectangle about the size of 3 torsos stacked on top of each other. This represents the dimensions of the legs. Now add 2 long rectangles on each side to represent the dimensions of the arm. Separate out the ends of the rectangle into blocks where the hands will be. Now separate the legs, feet, and the pelvic area. Now you've basically blocked out the proportions of a person, and it's ready to build a design inside of. On this basic form, you can start to add simple design elements inspired by your reference painting. Experiment breaking up the form with a few lines, but don't overcomplicate the design, especially if you're new to Photoshop. You want to give yourself time to master the tools on a simple project before you get into something more ambitious. Using your shortcuts for the B for brush and E for erase, work your way through the sketch, bringing out the personality of the character by adding flourishes and a point of emphasis. We'll need these distinct characteristics of the design to think about when we go to add color. Once you've got a sketch you're pretty happy with, consider blocking out parts of the design to get an idea of the potential for contrast in the final stage of coloring. At this point, we've got a decent sketch that could really work. And if you're new to drawing, feel free to keep your design simple and facing forward. But if you want a bit of a challenge, sketch your character at a 3/4 turn. It's the most popular way to illustrate a cartoon character. And this angle creates more opportunity for us to use light sources in a later stage of our color design. Alright, so we've got some simple and strong guidelines for our Elemental Guardian project. You don't need to push yourself to create an amazing sketch and illustration. Keep it simple. In the next chapter, we're going to move into a process I call 3-stage sketching. I'll be working at my own skill level, and I just ask that you find a place that you're comfortable to draw in and begin from there.